Good morning, my friends. Today we're going to be learning the third chapter in the laws of idol worship, avodat kochavim, the laws of what we are not allowed to do to serve other gods besides God himself. So join us along as we go through these laws. The Rambam begins off by telling us that if a person, God forbid, someone serves an idol, so if it was a mistake, so then he has to bring a sin offering. If he did it on purpose, so then there is what is called karet, when a person is excommunicated from the Jewish people. And if there were witnesses present and they warned him, so then that person gets killed. Now, there are many ways of serving idols, and there are many different types of gods and idols, and various ways of, each one has their special way of serving. And the truth is that the high court had to know all the various ways of how these various types of idols were worshipped, because the law is that a person is only liable when he serves a certain idol in the dedicated way how it is supposed to be served. So for instance, if there's a certain idol which was called markulis, the Rambam says, and the way of serving it was to throw a stick at it. So if he didn't throw a stick, but rather he did something else with this idol, so then he would not be liable. And so on with every type of idol worship. And as it says in the Torah, that the verse says, do not serve them. So therefore we're not allowed to do anything which is to serve the idol. Now that is in regards to any type of service which would be for this idol, whatever is dedicated for it. So it is only, a person is only liable when he does the dedicated service. Now this is all excluding for 4 specific types, which these 4 are what is done in the temple. In the temple, there were 4 specific types of service that were done as a way of serving God. And if a person does these 4 for any idol, so then he would be liable. So these 4 are to bring a sacrifice, to bow down, to bring an incense, a sacrifice offering, and someone who pours liquid on the altar. And with every sacrifice there was wine brought along, or other liquids which were poured. So therefore, if someone does any of these, so then they would be liable. And now the question is, what if someone does, let's say a person pours, but he pours something which is not poured onto the altar. So on the altar there was usually water or wine, but let's say someone takes feces and he pours that on whatever he is, or urine, something which is horrible, and he pours that for his idol. So then the truth is that he would still be liable. But if he slaughters a locust, let's say, which is not actually an animal, it's a grasshopper, so then he would be not liable, unless that's the specific way how that is, the service of that idol is supposed to be. But so that's very interesting. And the truth is that if a person, whenever a person comes along and he says that this is my God, whatever it might be, even it might just be like a little stone, and he says this is my God, the Rambam says that the person is already liable straight off. Even if he says, oh, I didn't mean it, I take that back, he still would be liable. So even if a person is going to be doing something which is not nice, so to speak, he's degrading the idol, he still would be liable if that's the way of serving it. So for instance, there were certain idols that a person would go to the bathroom. That was the way of service, to go to the bathroom on top of the idol. So then, but still, he would be liable. Now, what about if a person serves a false god, an idol, not because he believes that this is God, but rather because he likes it. He likes the look of it. He likes how, he likes what it symbolizes. He thinks that it's going to do him good, or he's scared that it might harm him, and that's why he is doing it. So the truth is that if he's not taking upon himself as a god, he would actually be not held liable. But on the other hand, still, obviously, we're not allowed to do that. So too also, a person is not allowed to wash an idol, or to put clothing on it, or to put shoes, or anything like that. Even if they are not the way of service, still a person is not allowed to do that, not to show them any honor. If a person is walking down the street and he is in front of it, he's walking by a statue or an idol, and he has a little pain in his toe and he wants to scratch his toe, or something got stuck in his sock, a little nettle, he's not allowed to bow down to take it out because it looks like he's bowing down. If he has money that fell out of his purse and now there's some coins on the ground and he has to pick them up, so too also, a person is not allowed to do that because it looks like they're bowing down to the idol. The Rambam says an interesting law. You know those big water fountains, which out of the idol's mouth there's like water sprouting out of the statue. So the Rambam says that a person is not allowed to put their mouth on the mouth of the statue and drink the water because it looks like he is kissing them. And that is something which one is not allowed to do. A person who makes an idol would be liable, even if a person is not making it for themselves. He's just making it for other people. That's something which we are not allowed to do. We are not allowed, even statues of a human being, we are not allowed to do. Because even though they are not actually meant for an idol, but to make a statue of a person is problematic according to Jewish law, and this only applies to a statue of a human being, of a human being's face. That's something which we are not allowed to do. And this is only applicable when it is like it's carved out, so it's 3D, it's coming out. But if it is carved in, whether it's in a board or something, wood or cement, so then if it's carved in, then that's allowed, as long as it's not protruding, so to speak. So, but if it's painted or carved into wood, that's totally fine. What about if your person has a ring which has a stamp of a ring, and it has a face of a person on it? So then we're not allowed to wear it, but we're allowed to use it to sign with it. But it's interesting. If the ring is we have the face of the person sticking out, so we're not allowed to wear it because it has an idol which is sticking out. We're allowed to use it to stamp because it's making a hole when we're pushing it into whatever material, but in a wax, let's say. But the other way around, when on the ring it's carved in, and when you would put it onto the wax, it would then make the wax a shape coming out. So then we're allowed to wear it, but we're not allowed to sign with it. So too also we're not allowed to create a statue or whatever of an image of the sun, moons, and stars, or the angels, which something which we're not allowed to do, because these are all God's ways of giving light to the world, but we're not allowed to serve them. We have to serve God. And so therefore But if it's anything else, any trees or animals, etc., we are allowed to make sculptures of them, and that's totally fine. With that, we complete today's Rambam. Very short, to the point, and very interesting chapter. So we'll be continuing tomorrow, God willing. We will see you all.